The preliminary round in the Chunin exams was 10 fights, spanning throughout 14 episodes. The rules of these fights are sorry about that. They're 1v1 matchups, and the winners are decided under two circumstances. Number 1, if the proctor or any upper rank ninja deem one of the participants too injured to continue. And number 2, if one of the fighters The plan today is simple. I'm gonna rank these 10 fights from worst to best, and we'll probably piss off everyone in the process. This ranking is as objective as it can be, meaning that, like every objective list of every series ever, there's gonna be some bias on what I think is good or bad. With that being said, I've pushed my personal feelings of these fights to the side. Some fights I like rank low, and some fights I criticize in overanalyzing Naruto rank high. I'll put my personal rank of each fight in the top left, just to show as much lack of bias as possible. And I think that's all that was needed to get out the way, so list time. A lot of preliminary fights are meant to introduce characters that are important later on, which is something I'll probably bring up at least once more in this video. But what if a character's introduction only shows what they did, and not what they can do? Well, it'll look a little bit like Temari vs Tenten. As in the manga, this fight just doesn't exist. We cut and see Temari won easily. In the anime adaptation, we see that Tenten at least puts up more of a fight, and we get more of an introduction to both characters. But it's clear who's gonna win the second it starts, and in this case, that's not really a good thing. I can respect the anti-introduction in the manga, but that doesn't mean the fight should be considered good just because it uses a bold way to introduce a character. This fight is really lucky that number 10 is fucking searching for a fight that doesn't exist, cause in any other list, this fight would be last. It shares the same problem as Temari vs Tenten, as we kinda know who's winning before Hayate even says start. It's also the last fight and follows Hinata vs Neji and Gaara vs Lee. Like, this fight was boned from the beginning. It really does feel like it's just the characters left over. And it really should be last, but somehow there's something worse. There's a decent amount of prelim fights that are just mid, and this one's the middest of them all. The main purpose of this fight is pretty much just to reveal that Kankuro's a puppet master so he can have a more proper fight against Shino during Konoha Crush. And to give the fight credit, it does that well. In fact, its reveal is really cool and a standout moment. But the fight isn't truly memorable, and honestly, once Kankuro's puppet is revealed, the fight just kinda dies. Mizumi's jutsu is cool, but you can really tell he's a throwaway character. If this is your favorite fight in the prelims, either Kankuro is your favorite character or you deserve to be shot in the head. There's no in between. As many of you know, Shikamaru is my favorite character, but even I can admit this fight isn't the best. Don't get me wrong, I think it's fine. In fact, I don't think any fight from Kankuro vs Misumi going forward is necessarily bad, but this fight feels like there's something missing, especially with Shikamaru. It's almost like cause he doesn't have to form a strategy, he feels almost like a shell of his character we know later, which isn't really a problem in the moment or honestly even in the future, but that's the best way I can describe why this fight feels off. Like, you feel it too, I'm not crazy. Maybe it's Keen? Like, her jutsu's okay, but she's kind of boring as a character. And when you compare her against any other character Shikamaru fights like Temari and Tsuya, you notice a pretty stark difference. Maybe that's it. Or maybe it's just a mix of the two. Anyways, that has nothing to do with this ranking, it was just an observation. This fight is yet another one meant for introduction, except this time, it's meant to show that Shikamaru's clever. And to give credit, like Kankuro vs Misumi, this introduction is shown well. I think this fight adds a little more stakes than that fight though. Like, Shikamaru does seem boned early on, and him bringing it back into his favor makes for a good moment. The way this fight ends is also pretty cool, and further shows Shikamaru being clever. But overall, this fight doesn't have a ton going for it. It's not bad, it just wasn't meant to be amazing. Sorry to interrupt the list here, but if you're enjoying the video so far, you might enjoy overanalyzing Naruto, a series where I overanalyzed every episode of OG Naruto. A link to the playlist is in the description if you want to check it out. And I know this is kind of a random time for self-promo, but be lucky it's this and not like... It wasn't a good idea to name drop a brand the first time, so I just won't do it a second. I realize at this point that every single ranking has perfectly aligned with my personal rankings, but that ends here. And to be honest with you, I don't know how fair this ranking is. In both the manga and anime adaptation, this fight is accompanied with another conflict happening at the same time. That of course being Kakashi defending Sasuke from Orochimaru. But unfortunately, because I'm just ranking the fights, I can't consider that second conflict to be a part of it, and I can only look at Shino vs Zaku the fight. And without that Kakashi and Orochimaru moment, the quality of this fight drops dramatically because it's kind of dependent on it. It's like taking this fight's crutches away. Obviously, the fight's still good enough to be in the 6th spot though, as Shino's introduction is really cool, and because it's against a previous established character in Zaku, it feels like this fight doesn't need to check any boxes, it can feel natural. And while I think this fight was over before it started, as Zaku starts the fight with only one good hand, it does still make for a good moment when he pulls out his other arm and then proceeds to blow them up. And remember, this fight is paired with the Kakashi and Orochimaru thing, and if I was counting that, this fight would probably be higher. Shino's introduction is good too. When we see his bugs come out of him, I think everyone has that what the hell kind of reaction. And him blocking Zaku's wind holes makes for a great moment. If you couldn't tell already, I personally really like this fight, but I do have to be honest about it. Without the Kakashi and Orochimaru conflict, it's in the bottom half of the prelim fights. So I guess that means I don't personally like the fight on its own, just, the two things put together. This is the first fight of the prelims, and I think it being in the 5 spot is indicative of how the prelims go, as this fight is before all the fights that focus on introduction, and after all the fights that focus on expansion, making it a perfect split. And since this is also the first fight, it needs to set the tone, which it does really well. Sasuke can only use taijutsu because of the curse mark, giving him an obstacle. Yoroi has him on the ropes at the start of the fight, giving it stakes. Everyone's on guard because of Sasuke's curse mark, giving it tension. And Sasuke's taijutsu itself not only calls back to a previous move Lee did, but also adds a new move into his bag. And when you add all of this, Sasuke's victory feels like a breath of fresh air. Okay. Sasuke's victory feels like a breath of fresh air, while also giving us the impression of what we can expect from the rest of these fights. Now, because of this ranking, we can tell that some fights didn't live up to this expectation, but that's not something we can blame this fight for. After all, you don't blame something for setting the bar, you blame the thing that falls below it. I think the only thing holding this fight back is the fact that it's short. I can praise this fight all I want, but unfortunately it won't be able to hold a candle to any longer fights just due to lack of substance. Something immediately shown in the next ranking. This pick will probably kill me, but I'd rather die than let the IRS catch me. This fight is a great example of how emotions behind fights can carry it. Cause even though this fight is in 4 and I have it personally graded as a B, I can admit the actual fighting isn't the best in comparison to the other prelim fights. But the emotions and almost internal struggle of this fight is what makes it so good. Like, Kishimoto makes it pretty clear that this fight was meant to be more mental than anything. I went over this in detail during overanalyzing Naruto and other videos, but when you look at Sakura in part 1, her character arc is 100% mental. At the start of the Chunin exam, she struggles with confidence, and during the Forest of Death, she's forced to be brutally honest about herself as a person and as a ninja. She comes out of that proving to herself who she is and what she can do, and leaves the Forest of Death mentally a new character. But during that, we also learn that Ino was her best friend and the person who gave her all the confidence she previously had in herself. Fast forward to this fight, and Sakura has changed, but she hasn't proven that yet to the person who gave her confidence in the first place. So to her, this fight is about proving herself. In Ino's perspective though, Sakura's lucky. She's around Sasuke all the time, fucking holy Bechdel test, but that's what it is. Ino doesn't see any of the internal struggles Sakura went through. So you have a character who's fighting out of jealousy, and another that's fighting to prove a point. So when Sakura puts on the headband, it's not only her showing Ino she sees herself as a shinobi, you couldn't guess how many times it took to record that, but also showing she now feels as if she can call herself one. And when you add in the fact that this is a rivalry, it shows mutual respect between each other and that at the end of the day, they still care about each other. Something that hadn't been shown in the present up to this point. And the fact this fight ends on a draw not only shows they prove what they wanted to, but also shows balance in their relationship. They have an emotionally driven rivalry, but still mutually care about each other. The same thing the headband moment shows. Making it so the headband moment symbolizes mental acknowledgement, and the end of the fight symbolizes physical acknowledgement. Like, you can hate the actual physical portion of the fight all you want, but I don't think it's fair to act like the emotional side of the fight is straight ass. That alone is better written than like 80% of Naruto fights. But I think people tend to not acknowledge that side of the fight for whatever reason, right? It's not like people will pre-comment about this fight before watching this video, right? For, again, whatever reason. If this was Naruto and Sasuke and not Sakura vs Ino, we'd be calling it a masterpiece, by the way. Couldn't think of why that is, though. I'm just a dumb feminist white knighting over here. Don't mind me. I'm not saying that if you don't like this fight, you must hate women, by the way. In fact, most people who don't like this fight are normal, well-grounded people. All I'll say is that the people who don't like this fight make it clear whether or not they like it because of an excess of X chromosomes within the first sentence of their explanation. Because the grounded people will have a grounded piece of criticism you can get behind. They don't like the choreography or just all around the physical side of it, and that's perfectly fine. Those people are completely valid in having that opinion. The misogynists, though, pretty much immediately make it clear they would rather have two big strong men with big muscles and with their shirts off. All jokes aside, this fight deserves to be here. It's better than all the smaller fights just purely off the layers it has. but it's not better than any of the other longer fights. Oh shit, it's the IRS. I'm personally not a huge fan of this fight, but this is still an objective ranking, so I'll give it credit. I just might not include any personal opinions of it. Naruto as a show really loves asking its characters the same question over and over, that being, how do you respond to opposition? And this fight does a really good job at forcing Naruto to ask that question while simultaneously not asking it hard enough, allowing for other times it's asked, like Naruto vs Neji and Naruto vs Gaara, to stand out more. Like, Kiba straight up tells Naruto he's gonna be Hokage over him out of spite and pretty much dares him to do something about it. And when Naruto does do something about it, it makes for a few solid moments. Like when he stands up after being beaten to the ground, that's a great moment. So it has that emotional side to it that some of the shorter fights were lacking, while also having some good pieces of fight choreography that stand out. Like seeing how Naruto deals with Akamaru and Kiba is really interesting to see, because he's just such a creative fighter. Not to mention, it shows how much he's improved. And it sounds crazy to say, but pre-Force to Death Naruto isn't doing this. And whether that's just because he's more confident with his shadow clone usage or just more confident as a ninja, it's still noticeable and something us the viewer find satisfying. And even though Naruto taking a shit in Kiba's face is kinda ass, the Naruto Uzumaki barrage goes hard. I think everyone can admit that. I think this fight has two main problems though, besides this fucking thing. Those problems are pacing and also animation. For pacing, it's just a personal thing. I feel like it's slow at times, but that's just my opinion. I won't really say anything about it. The animation though, that is very real, as one episode has a noticeably different look. And that's not like a good thing either. It's not like Atsushi Wakabayashi blessed an Naruto episode. It's that the characters feel off model, their eyes are going in like two different directions at times, and it just kills the overall quality of the fight. It's almost like they ran out of budget, and that's just not a good thing. If someone said this was their favorite fight out of the prelims, I wouldn't kill you for it, but you'd maybe get a look. Aros indio gel. That's all I gotta say. I'll say it. We knew this fight was second, the same way we knew the other one was first. Cause this fight is gas, and we all know it. I don't think there's a weak point. I genuinely think this is a great fight from start to finish. Just like Sakura vs Ino and Naruto vs Kiba, it asks the question of, how do you respond to opposition? And Hinata gives her answer. There's this huge threat in front of her, and she stands up to him. And kinda like that Sakura moment in the Forest of Death, this is a losing battle, but one that she needs. And that creates really high emotions for this fight. Hinata's fighting to prove to herself and Neji that she can be strong. There's also added tension due to Neji and Hinata being from the Hyuga clan and the problems within it. And the fight choreography is some of the best we've seen from Naruto up to that point. Full stop. It's just two close-range taijutsu fighters going at it. And their style is so unique, it's so fucking cool. I'm pretty sure I said it in overanalyzing Naruto, but I really wish we saw more Hyuga-style taijutsu. It's so good. Like, this fight is the definition of underrated. It really doesn't get the credit it deserves. And the ending is one of the best endings to a fight in OG Naruto. Hinata proves herself, but at what cost? She almost dies. And Neji's anger towards the clan and towards Hinata pisses off Naruto, and it sets up their fight in the third round. Like, this fight is so peak. In my opinion, it's like if Sakura vs Ino had good fight choreography. It's layered in a similar way, it just has two more capable fighters. And I don't think anyone has problems with this fight. It's great for what it is and what it's supposed to be. And it would be number one if one of the most iconic fights in all of Naruto didn't come after it. Let's be honest, you didn't click on this video wondering which fight was in the one spot, you already knew it was gonna be here. And that alone tells you just how good this fight is. It's technically the longest out of all of them. It takes up 3 episodes, but it doesn't really feel like it. Cause there's just so much action to it that us the viewer don't feel like it's wasting any time. It has such an underrated emotional side to it. Like Lee is going into this fight feeling like Sasuke is so much better than him. Not to mention, Lee is always having to prove himself, and he sees this fight as an opportunity to do that. Gaara is seen as one of the strongest to pretty much everyone at this point, so Lee winning would show he's an exceptional ninja. In other words, he has nothing to lose but everything to gain, and he's fucking hungry. He wants to gain everything. And since Lee is a character that naturally allows viewers to relate to him, us the viewer are rooting for him from the jump. And you know what he does? Gives us some of the best moments in OG Naruto in this fight. Let me just go over some of the coolest parts of this fight real quick. I'm sure you won't mind. Taking off his leg weights. Goes insane. Gets a hit off on Gaara. Something nobody has ever done. And that moment is so big for so many reasons. Cause the not naturally gifted Lee just gave Gaara, the guy whose sand does everything for him, fucking CTE. And what does that tell us the viewer, if we're supposed to relate to him? This was where the Naruto's about hard work agenda was born, by the way. It was cause of Lee. The second people heard Guy say he was a genius of hard work, it was over. Him going into the 5th gate too goes crazy. He literally hits around Gaara like it's ping pong. This is my ping pong the animation. And him standing up at the end of this fight, showing he still wants to prove himself, is just a great moment. Guy's reaction is pretty much what us the viewer feel, and it's so fucking peak. There's also a lot revealed about Gaara in this fight. We see what his sand can really do when up against someone who's actually strong. And we also see him break mentally, and we know how important that is. But overall, this is one of the best fights in OG Naruto. And if you said this was your favorite fight, no one would blame you. So yeah, this is the list. Did you like it? Probably not. Did you hate it? If so, comment how much you did so my engagement goes up. In all seriousness, I think everyone has a different list here. No matter how objective I was trying to be, I'm sure people could come up with different reasons for why every fight has a different placement. After all, it's pretty hard to be objective about something that, at the end of the day, is subjective media. If you want to support me more than just watching this video, you can become a member on Patreon. And yeah, now I'll put on screen how I feel about the Dr. Stone finale because I was 1 week early.